What's up, guys? So this week I'm gonna give away one of my favorite openers that I've had a lot of success with lately. And it is based around the idea of the girl thinking that she super liked your profile. So then you get to explain why she's attracted to you, why she's attracted to the profile, and then move that towards a date. Now, I'm not only gonna give you the opener, I'm gonna show you a bunch of different examples in screenshots about what the girl might reply with, and then how to follow it up. And then on top of that, at the end, I'm gonna go through my favorite interaction I've had using this open from the minute I sent it all the way until she came over to my place. And it's really exciting, so stay to the end, let's watch that, and let's get into it right now. I actually got this idea from a girl. So I super liked her, and she sent me a message saying, "What did I do to deserve this super like?" And that is a great message because it's inviting me to qualify, tell her all the great things that I like about her. But instead I pulled back, and obviously I got her to qualify. I told her that she had two of my weaknesses. She ends up saying that, she's not tall enough for me. I tell her it's fine, that being short is good because it's easier to pin her against the wall and throw her against the bed. And I actually end up planning to meet this girl, I get her Insta, but it gave me an idea. And I was like, I could use something very similar to this on women that I super like. And that's exactly what I did. I started using this line, I'd send her a super like, and I'd say, "Hey, thanks for super liking me." And it worked great and had really incredible results. And then I just started using it on any match, and it still worked. I thought a lot of girls probably aren't familiar with this feature, and probably aren't really that familiar with Tinder. And so when they saw me thank them, I assume they just all go along with it since they didn't know. And that's great. They go along with this idea that they super liked me, they forgot about it, this must have been a great profile, this really handsome guy that she saw before and liked. So it's a great way to start the interaction and actually take away any potential neediness or over-validation that might come when you actually super like a girl. And for the other girls that know they didn't super like me, usually what happens is they'll go through my profile to check and kind of see what happened. And then now they're almost forced to reply. They're almost forced to say, "Hey, by the way, you're the one that super liked me," because they don't want to be left thinking that some other guy thinks that I super liked him, thinks that I'm into him. That ego in the girl forces her to be like, yo, it's the other way around. So it's a win-win. I either get a girl admitting to the fact that she super liked me and stays in that frame, or I get a response and something to work with. So it's a really great opener. The first type of initial response that we'll look at from the opener, "Hey, thanks for the super like," is them simply going along with it. So in this first screenshot, this girl agreed with it. I basically used a line from the original girl asking what made me deserving, and it calls this girl to say that I was handsome. In the next screenshot, the girl agrees to the super like and says that I'm cute, and I go on to bait her, saying the second photo was a reason I decided to swipe. I then frame her as a little bit weird and fun, and then she goes on to ask where I live. This third screenshot, another line I tried out here is, "It's very confident of you." That's another one you can use. She says, "Well, you have a great profile." Again, I ran the "thank you. I'm curious what caught your eye." She goes into talking about how she likes that I'm dominant and starts calling me daddy. Our last screenshot from this type of response, this girl says, "You're welcome." I again follow up with, "I'm curious what caught your eye, your bio and fire photo." And then I told her what I liked about her, and we moved into talking about her kinks in a very sexual direction. The next typical response you'll get from this type of opener is something along the lines of, "Are you sure?" So the girls aren't agreeing, so they're not disagreeing with it, but they're just asking, "Are you sure that's what happened?" So in this first example, the girl asks if I'm sure, since she doesn't usually use it. I just misinterpret her and say, "I appreciate it even more than." Once again, keeping that frame that she wanted to super like me. The next reply you might receive is something along the lines of, "I didn't even know." So this girl says she didn't even know she did it, and then I basically proceeded to frame it that she was into the profile. So I said, "I appreciate it. I'm curious what caught your eye." So you can see a theme here. She says I'm fun, I tell her that she has my weaknesses, and she continues to qualify. In this example, the girl says that she did super like me, but just that she didn't realize she did it. Once again, she confirms that she's into the profile and starts telling me how amazing her vagina is and how she loves multiple oral orgasms. So a good direction to always take it. And lastly, this girl is another one saying she didn't realize, but is happy she did so. So all these girls basically went through, re-looked at my photos, re-looked at my bio, and then said, yeah, I must have, right? I wasn't sure, but I did. Another typical reply you might get is, it was a mistake. In this screenshot, I went to my go-to line and asked why she swiped. She lists all the reasons she liked about my profile, followed by sold. And then goes on to say how great of a cuddler she is. The last variation you guys might see is simply the girls denying it, that I didn't. Surprisingly enough, I probably saw this the least out of all responses. It's amazing how many girls just agreed to the frame or said it was a mistake or they didn't know. It was rare for a girl to actually come out and say, I didn't super like. Even when there was no super like involved. Like even if it was just a normal match, I just say, thanks for the super like, and it seemed to work. Now, this is what you do if the girl says she didn't. So in this first screenshot, she says she didn't do it, so I said, oh, wrong notification. Now again, this removes any neediness that might come across with a super like, but what it also shows her is that perhaps other girls are super liking me. Perhaps I'm so filled with Tinder notifications that I got it mixed up. So it's a nice kind of little response that creates a good perception. And then I followed up with, why didn't you? Now, in all honesty, I tried this a few times. It didn't really go that well, just because it sounds a little bit butthurt, right? It sounds a bit weird. But in this case, it worked. She goes on to basically qualify that she's not tall enough for me, because that's something that I wrote in my bio that I was after. She tells me that she has an Italian accent, and I warn her not to seduce me with it. And she goes on to say she's not gonna make any promises. And we go on to talk again about multiple oral orgasms. So even though she kind of denied it at first, it still was able to lead to her explaining what she liked about me, explaining what was good about her, and leading it down a sexual path. In this second screenshot, the girl simply says it's the other way around. Again, this alleviates any of the neediness that comes with super liking, but I go on to say and just basically flip this and say, oh, I must have been curious about, and then you just bring up anything in their profile or anything about them. Now in this case, I say her submissiveness, and I immediately take it down a sexual route, and I ended up meeting up with this girl as well. Now lastly, this girl was probably the most outright about me trying to use this and throw it on her. And she told me, I don't super like anyone, babe. People super like me. So I refrain again and I basically say, I appreciate that then. I'm sure you would get a lot. You have an interesting profile too. I didn't want to make this like super confrontational. I wanted to make it somewhat a reply that she could kind of go along with, which she didn't. I definitely didn't super like, but let's agree to disagree. It's a good opening line regardless. Thank you, I thought so. I think your profile might be a bit more interesting. So there you go. She basically went from people super like me type of attitude to turning around and saying, actually, you know what, your profile is probably better than mine. From here, I basically go on to tell her that I'd put her in a place, touching on that dominant aspect of the interaction. As you can see, some of those interactions are as recent as like today or yesterday, and they're still going, and some of them I met up with. So if you're curious about breakdowns using that line, let me know. But otherwise, I'm gonna take you through my favorite interaction I had using this open. So as I'm swiping through Tinder, I come across this girl that's exactly my type. Like tall, blonde, sexy, submissive vibe, and less than a kilometer away. And if you have a look at her bio here, she wrote, I'm not here for hookups, but like to cuddle and party. I basically interpreted this as someone that is open to sex, but also has standards and isn't just gonna sleep with anyone, obviously. She also wrote, I won't message first because I think it's your job. So this was a big hint at the fact that she might want somewhat of a more dominant guy. And that's exactly what my profile portrays. And so I thought not only would she be my type, but I'm likely gonna be her type. So I sent off that super like. So open with the line, thanks for the super like. She responds, haha, no worries. I was very intrigued, so I didn't want you to skip past me. So after I wrote that opener, she's obviously gone back, looked through the photos, looked through the profile, and thought that's likely the reason I did it. I probably did it because this is my type and I didn't want to miss out. So it's already completely switched that dynamic. I then wrote, what intrigued you the most? So basically I want her to start verbalizing it, saying it, chasing, telling me what she likes about me. And it also, I have some sexual things in my bio. It gives her a chance to basically go to those and move the interaction forward if she wants to. I've never heard of a traveling sex writer before, and I wondered what that entails. You're also tall and dominant, which I love. So this is exactly what I wanted. She's basically starting to qualify. Now I essentially show some value in parts of my personality that I think should be attracted to. So I write, I usually travel the world, city to city, running workshops, coaching men with topics on sex, dominance, foreplay, understanding women, etc., etc. Wow, that's very impressive. So mission accomplished. So a sex and dating coach, what's your take on Tinder? You have to be so careful with this question of what do you think of dating apps or what do you think of Tinder? You don't want to come across as this resentful butthurt guy that hates apps, hates meeting up with women, has a bunch of bad experiences. It doesn't say much about you. And you also don't want to act like you love them and you're desperately trying to meet with every single girl you can, and that's also not a good look. So what I choose to reply is this. I've met some amazing girls from here. I tend to be a good judge of character though. I know a lot of people find it frustrating. Personally, I like meeting people in person. Now, the reason I put that end line, I like meeting people in person, is because almost every girl's gonna agree with that. They don't wanna be sitting on the app forever. So once they agree to that, it kind of helps and baits the idea of you guys just meeting up instead of wasting your entire time on the app. For sure, in person is always better. You're really close, you live in, and she named her suburb too. Now at this point, she's starting to think about the meet. That kind of bait worked, but I don't want to just write, yeah, I'm this far away. I want her to put it in her phone and her to look it up. So I simply just send her my address and ask how close it is. Now she has to put it in Google Maps, she has to see where it is, she has to tell me, and that's one step closer to her coming over. She writes, 8-minute drive. This is where I had to make a decision. I was a little bit torn because the biggest mistake guys make is they go for the date way too early and they just basically tell the girl, I'm really into you, they chase and it never works out. And I was questioning, do I have enough value at this point? Have I built a strong enough perception to go for the date and for her to want to come over at this point? And considering that she thinks that she super liked me, she already mentioned all the great things about my profile and about me, I thought I'd suss it out. So I say, how spontaneous are you feeling right now? She replies with, lol, what do you have in mind? So this is a green light. If a girl wasn't interested, she's gonna say, not very, she's gonna say, I'm busy, I've got work in the morning, I feel tired. But what do you have in mind is a green light. It's kind of on at this point. So I write, glass of wine and my famous booty massage if there's chemistry. So this message paints a picture where it's not overly boring or platonic or romantic, and it's still yet classy and is likely to involve a lot of pleasure for her. She writes, I do love a massage. It's another green light. So I say, perfect. I do give amazing massages. I'm basically just leaving room there for her to go for it. She says, do you have white wine at your place? I hate red. If not, I'll see if I can grab a bottle. Now this is a really smart message. This is essentially decision close that we teach. So instead of asking like, hey, so should we meet or is it on? You just assume it and ask for a different decision. So often we will ask, yeah, no worries, do you prefer red or white wine? But in this case, she was really clever. She's like, do you want me to buy some or not? And it's basically setting up the date without actually asking. So it's really clever. I say, I only have red, so that would be great. What time do you think you could be here? She said, I could leave in about 15 to 20 minutes. Are you up early tomorrow? This is a potential deal breaker right now. If a girl asks you this question, it's for usually one or two reasons. One reason is they're worried that they're gonna come over and you're gonna have like one glass of wine, kiss her on the cheek, wish her a good night, and try plan a second date. Maybe she got all excited, got all ready, prepared herself, and then she gets there and it's just boring. The second reason is she doesn't want to be kicked out at like 3 a.m. and have to find a way home essentially. So a lot of girls will ask this to see if they can stay over without actually explicitly saying, do you mind if I stay the night? I reply, no, I just have plans at midday. Feel free to leave whenever you want. She says, lol, just checking you don't need to be in bed in an hour. Then I say, no bedtime here. I'm jumping in the shower now. Just let me know when you're close and I'll come down and let you in. She says, yeah, I'll message you when I'm leaving. And it turned out to be an amazing date. So this girl came over, basically went straight to my room, had a glass of wine, spoke to her about her submissive side, about her kinks, gave her my famous booty massage, and we had amazing sex. So there it is, guys. Feel free to use that opener, knowing what the typical responses are and following it up with some of my own responses. typically what caught your eye, and then let the girls qualify, build it up, move it towards a date. So if you guys liked that video, please spank that like button, hit subscribe, get the bell on. We'll have more videos and breakdowns for you, and I'll see you guys in one of these videos.